live on air internationally and in the interstellar quadrant also. So, how are you this morning, Barrett?
Doing very good. I'd like to say a warm welcome to all the Pleiadians who are listening to our broadcast today, and all of our other alien friends to know that we're here for you. Just like all of
Absolutely.
our human friends. So
And the Pleiadians were very much a part of Native American culture. They're especially with my group, the Ojibwe, Ottawa, Potawatomi, Chippewa peoples. We have a lot of mythology around the people from that realm of the universe. And
cool.
One of the things that a lot of people are oblivious to, even though they drive the automobiles, they don't realize that there is a car out there that is named for the Pleiadian system. And you weren't aware of that either, I assume?
No, not at all.
Yeah. Well, if you are somewhat acute in Japanese, you would realize that Subaru means the Pleiades.
Wow.
So, and that's why their symbol on the front of their car has got 7 stars in it. That's the Pleiadian system. So,
well, there you go. Learn something new every day.
yes, and I seem to be filled with that sort of nonsense, and I'm working on trying to replace all that silliness with more and more of A Course in Miracles, which is what we are discussing today.
Well, just make sure you go on Jeopardy before all of that information gets replaced. So.
It's kind of insane, but I think Jeopardy is really the causative factor in my having all this silliness in my head. So, yeah, there was a time when I did indulge that program, probably way too much. But today we are up to faithfulness as a topic of discussion. And
yeah, we could even put that in the form of a question. What is faithfulness?
Yes, and I think it goes beyond watching your favorite television show religiously every day. But for me, now it's interesting because I think you have an entirely different perspective on this particular thought. But for me, faithfulness is the realization that you are true to course in every activity you do in dealing with the conundrums of this material world. And so, everybody imagines, oh, I've got 1,000 problems. I need money for this. I need this for that. And it just goes on and on and on. It's an ongoing litany that I hear from people consistently. And yet the reality is there's only one problem, and that is your connection to God. And as soon as you are able to establish and maintain a clear and respectful position in relationship to the divine, all the other problems are resolved immediately, because even in this material world, if we have that assurance and that well-being mentality that we do in fact gain from dwelling with God and realizing that in truth, really, we dwell in God. And since God is perfection, none of this stuff is real. So if we are faithful in resolving every issue that we approach in life by just stopping and saying, reveal thyself to me, and reaffirming the connection to God, being faithful to our oneness with God, then everything else is addressed in immediate fashion, which, really kind of defines the idea of the miracle. The miracle is an outpicturing of that resolution of our connection with God and our recognizing our identity as being one with God.
Yeah. I think I really like that. There's a line in this section in the Manual for Teachers that says, "True faithfulness, however, does not deviate. Being consistent, it is wholly honest. Being unswerving, it is full of trust. Being based on fearlessness, it is gentle. Being certain, it is joyous. And being confident, it is tolerant." So he's really kind of tying together here all of the characteristics we've been talking about the last few months. And I think that what you're saying, I really connect with this idea that, there's nothing here in the world that we can't turn over to spirit and find a smoother path, find a resolution to. Even the seemingly intractable solutions, there always is a way forward to be in peace. And it might not always seem easy, but it is always possible. One of the things that Jesus sometimes says in the course is that this is a simple course. It's very simple to choose love over fear, to choose joy over separation, to choose peace over conflict. Well, when you put it like that, it is pretty simple, but the issue is that we're kind of drama addicts. We're addicted to all of the ups and downs, and there's a section in the text called "The Hero of the Dream." Well, the hero of the dream is my body, and my body is the central character in every story that I tell. We can't even imagine what it would be like without that body. There's sort of a terrifying fear that comes up in a lot of people, myself included, when I really think, okay, this body is not what I am. Because what it means is I have to let go of all those stories. I have to let go of this, the triumphs of this body, but also the defeats of this body. And without all those things, the ego tells us we would be nothing, that we would be, just annihilated. The good news is that without all of those stories, really what we are is our truth. We are this unending, peaceful joy that just never changes. It's always there. It's always supportive. It's always holding us in these hands of love. So we do need to kind of face some of these false ideas about ourselves so that we can come to this deeper understanding of who we are. And I think that it's a matter of persistence. And I think that's a different way maybe of saying what you just said, or this idea of faithfulness, that we need to be faithful to this realization that we've never really left home. We've just dreamed that we have. And by remembering that in all of our issues, all of our problems, we can begin to walk through this world with more and more grace, more and more ease, and more happiness.
That's very, very true. And, for me, I watch a lot of movies. I don't watch mainstream television. I buy used DVDs on eBay. And so sometimes, I'm watching the same movie 10 times in a month, other times once a year. But nonetheless, I have a huge inventory of movies. And one of my favorites that kind of highlights this idea is that in Star Trek V, the movie, William Shatner co-wrote that movie, and there's a scene in there where this character, who is in fact pardon me, who is Spock's half brother, Sybok. Sybok is, he has this capacity to pull the pain out of people, to help them confront their memories and confront all the different experiences they've had in life that are weighing them down, the burdens that they're carrying emotionally and psychologically. And Shatner, when Sybok approaches Shatner, Shatner says, "No, get away from me. I want my pain. I need my pain. My pain is what defines me." And boy, did I ever get a jolt out of that one when even, the first time I saw that movie, which was back in the mid 70s, if I remember correctly. But it was just such an insane response, but it is so typical of the human experience. We love our pain and we are addicted to it. It's our heroin, our drug of choice. And so the opportunity that is presented in A Course in Miracles is for us to have that removed, to be able to have resolution and a sense of peace placed there instead of that pain. And yet it's so very hard for us to actually surrender to allowing that pain to be removed.
Yeah. There's one other aspect of faithfulness that I want to bring up here too, and it's just that this it's not a blind faith that we're asked to have as we study the Course. It's an earned faith. We can actually come to see that this is something that is worthy of us believing in, and I think it ties right in with what you're talking about removing the pain. We can actually have these experiences where the pain decreases or is gone completely. And the more that we do it, the more that we see that that's the outcome. And then it comes back to William Shatner again, are we wanting the pain, because it is who we think we are? Or are we going to let Sayabak do his thing, who in this case we could call the Holy Spirit, and say, no, actually, I really am ready to let this go. And sometimes there's a disconnect between our desire to let something go, and the actual complete willingness. And there's a workbook lesson that says, I want the peace of God. And that's the title. And it says right away in there, to say these words is nothing, but to mean these words is everything. So, a lot of us intellectually say, well, yeah, I want peace. I want the peace of God. That sounds pretty good. I'll sign up for that. But if on some level we're not wanting it, then we won't have it yet. We have to really kind of allow these deep things, these deep pains to begin to surface. And as they start to come forward, then we just remember over and over again that what we really want is love. And that persistence, that faithfulness will yield the rewards that we're looking for. It will result in an experience where actually we are beyond pain. And that's what Jesus was experiencing at the end of his life, and other mystics have experienced in their enlightenment. This understanding that the body is just an image, and it doesn't actually reflect or have anything to do with the truth of what they are.
Very true. The other thing that a lot of times people filter and manipulate words in their mind. So the idea of love often, I think, is either associated with some sort of a romantic experience, or this happy feeling that, one of Charlie Schultz characters, Snoopy, is always in this state of ecstatic love, where he's got his flowers and is dancing around. But really, that whole concept of love goes so much further when you really start to look deeply into the Course. And I think that perhaps we need to put a little slash behind the word love and say completion, because we arrive at a point of such fulfillment when we enter into that union of love with the divine, that there is no missing things within us. We can't find something within ourselves that is a blank place, because love takes on so many characteristics in fulfilling us and in helping us to recognize our complete and total perfection. So again, moving through all of these different concepts for the course and moving through with the daily lessons, it really is a journey into the process of shifting identity away from this fractured concept of who we are, and moving it back into that realm of seeing ourselves as complete, total, perfect, omnipotent, omniscient, and incapable, really, of having any kind of flaw or suffering. You know, one of my favorite lines in the ministry of Jesus there, and I always thought this was kind of a fun line, because most of the religious people in via the churches, you know, very rarely do you hear them reference this in their lessons from the pulpit. But there is a point where Jesus said, "Be ye therefore perfect, even as your Father which is in heaven is perfect also." And that is such a powerful, powerful image of us as we exist in our natural state. And it is attainable. You know, you go to various different ministers, and they would say, well, you know, he was just speaking in parable, or he was, you know, giving us something to work on, but he didn't expect that of us. And the reality is that he was very much on point when he said that this is your true state. So just be quiet long enough to re-experience that perfection that is inherently within you. So it, you know, it just goes on and on and on. The course is really this dissolving of our delusions about who we are, but what's being replaced, or what those things that are delusional is being replaced with, is a vision of a reality so triumphant and so immaculate and so universal that it is just absolutely incomprehensible if we're clutching the earth, if we're addicted to this realm. So, you know, it's fun to watch how the course creates a process of what Mary Baker Eddy called chemicalization. And it's like dropping an Alka-Seltzer in a glass of water, and you can see this wafer dissolving and creating this bubbly effect. And that really is how the course affects us, is it dissolves all of these illusions, and all of a sudden at the end of the process there's this glass of very bubbly water that's very clear and very pure.
Nice. Plop, plop, fizz, fizz, right?
Yes. Oh, what a relief the course is.
Oh, yeah. And I think just to kind of go with that idea that we can see how some of these images that you can see now of Jesus as smiling and happy, and they replace these sort of dour images that religion and the church have given us for centuries, of this brooding and suffering, this sad Jesus. Because I think when you have that experience you're talking about, Chris, where you're just knowing that there is nothing that can take away that peace, who wouldn't be happy? You know, who wouldn't be lighthearted? And I think that it's beautiful that reminder that we're looking for that perfection too. That is our true nature, and it's here for us to experience. So. And one other thing is, you mentioned Snoopy. I was actually playing Snoopy in high school in the musical Peanuts. So, yeah, I definitely can relate to that skipping around with the flowers in the hand kind of character.
Yes, it's that's a happy soul, but there's so much more to the whole concept of living in that state of, I would say, probably rapture, not as the Christians in mainstream Christianity describe the rapture, but I think that in the true sense of a true rapture, where we have transcended all of our trials and tribulations, all of our fears and sorrows. I think that is what we are seeking to attain. And the good news is that it is very much attainable. It's just a matter of patience, continuity, and being there every day for your lesson from that higher consciousness, because it's all around you. It's always been there. It's just that we haven't learned how to listen appropriately so that we can actually hear all of these amazing ideas that are being presented to us.
That's perfect. So a happy rapture to you, Chris.
Yes, and to you also. And hopefully your trip will be a rapturous one also. You're going over to hang out with Mr. Gary Renard, which is going to be a very enjoyable adventure, I'm sure.
Yeah, I'll look forward to seeing him. He and Cindy are really good friends, and I always have a good time hanging out and just being with them. So I'm sure their workshop on Saturday is great. If anyone listening to this is anywhere near Cedar Rapids, Iowa, he's going to be there this Saturday from 10 to 5. So you can check out his website, GaryRenard.com, to find out the details of how to get there. So yeah, and then speaking of events, I know we're kind of still stirring the pot, looking for another event to do in the area. So I'm excited for however that ends up coming together too.
Yes, I'm sure that we're going to have something for a collective experience that we assemble here before too much longer. So Chicagoland will be getting more and more of the rapture of the course.
All right. Well, it's beautiful, Chris. You have a beautiful rest of your day, and I look forward to seeing you next week.
Yes, you have a great adventure and a safe journey, and everybody take care and spend a little bit of time with the course, and you will be surprised at what you gain from that investment.
Amen.